A new California law says all operating systems, including Linux, you cannot enforce this on Linux. It's open source code. You cannot just enforce it. It have some form of age verification to account setup. Why would you need account setup to use a computer? Well, Windows likes it, but I don't. I wonder how the government of California plans to enforce it. Yeah. Apparently there's a similar bill too in, I want to say it was Colorado, but I'm not sure. The government of California is implementing a law that requires operating system providers to implement some form of age verification into their account setup procedures. Account setup procedures. Operating system providers. See what I mean? Oh, we're 15 years behind. It's insane. Why would they need an account to use Windows? Well, you can just use all Windows, and it works. Assembly Bill number 1043 was approved by California Governor Gavin Newsom in October of last year and becomes active on January 1st, 2027 in the Atlantic Journal. The bill states, among other factors, that an operating system provider shall do all of the following. Providing accessible interface and account setup that requires an account holder to indicate the birth date, age, or both of the user of the device for the purpose of providing a signal regarding the user's age bracket to applications available in a covered application store. Huh? I know a lot about tech, or more than your average normie. I wouldn't call myself a normie. What? What do you mean by this? I don't understand any of this, actually. Okay, so we're talking about... I'm trying to go step by step here to try to understand it myself. This is not for comedic purposes. So we're talking about operating system providers, including Linux. This is not just about phones. It's providing interface account setup. You're losing me here already. What do you mean account setup for operating systems? Once again, I understand Microsoft does it. It doesn't make any sense. In theory, you can also bypass that with Windows. I've never done it. Maybe I should have. Signal regarding the user's age bracket to applications available in a covered application store. Application store. This is what I mean when I say people don't understand anything about technology. Not all people, I mean, this guy is clearly old. As you can see, he's the governor, and he's been the governor for quite some time. But also young people. Application store. What is an application store, pal? This is not Android, necessarily. I've seen this strange situation nowadays when a lot of people, even when they're talking to you about, this happening in the tech world, they just use the word app or application for everything. Now, you're talking about a program, a computer program, not an app. They are different things. They might seem the same, but they're not. An app is supposed to be for phones, by the way. So you kinda lost me here already. Because even if we take into account that sure, Windows has some sort of Windows Store, App Store, something like that, which doesn't work that well, by the way. You don't have to add an application store to your operating system. I'm not sure that Linux does. I haven't used it in a long time. I've only used Linux a little bit. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm still a little bit unsure of what's going on. Let's go for the second point. Provide a developer who has requested a signal with respect to a particular user with a digital signal be a reasonably consistent real-time application programming interface that identifies at a minimum which of the following categories pertain to the user. So it's just about age, once again. There's a lot of big words. I'm getting a little bit lost, not gonna lie. The categories are broken into 4 sections. Users under 13, over 13 under 16, under 16 and under 18, and at least 18. Okay? Then again, why? I could understand to some extent being like minors and adults. Okay, that's reasonable. I could even understand 16 or lower, 16 to 18, 18 plus, because there's, for some reason, I don't know why 16, but most of these identification laws use 16. as you need to be 16 plus to access this. That kind of begs the question, why 16? I don't think 16 is really a pretty relevant age or anything. I'm not quite sure. But this also needing 13 to 16 seems quite strange. In essence, while the bill doesn't seem to require the most egregious forms of age verification, face scans are similar. Yet, keyword yet, even though they don't say it here, it does require OS providers to collect age verification of some form at the account/user creating a stage, and to be able to pass a segmented version of that information to site developers upon request. I use this all the time as an example because it's pretty obvious. These technocrats, to some extent, I'm not quite sure if Gavin Newsom qualifies as a technocrat, but I'm gonna use that term as a catch-all. They can't believe you're always connected to the internet. You're not. Actually, you might have some trouble if you have a new computer and you're installing an OS if you want to access the internet. Depending on the computer, you might not be able to do so directly. You might need to install some drivers. That means that aside from the BIOS, you also need a functioning operating system to properly work, to actually access the internet. So that's going to become a big problem. What is going to happen during your operating system setup if you cannot access the internet? And we can also mention the obvious case of, what if I don't have internet at the moment because there has been some sort of outage, which happens not all the time, but it's not that uncommon. I don't know, man. I don't know. That sounds like the government is being stupid once again. It's likely no big deal for Windows, which requires you to enter your date of birth through the Microsoft account setup procedure. Microsoft account. I mean, it's client-side, you can just bypass it. However, the idea that all operating systems providers need to comply in California is drawing a fair degree of ire from certain Linux communities. It is basically impossible for California to enforce, since Cato Domine on the Linux Mint subreddit. If Linux Mint decides to add some kind of face verification to comply with California law, there's no reason anyone will choose that version. It's already too late. When you have operating systems that don't work within these laws, it's already too late. You can just bypass it, you can just ignore it. It's actually just that easy. Isn't that funny? More likely they will put a disclaimer on the website. No freeze in California. I mean, what is gonna happen if they didn't add that, or they add that in a version that nobody uses? Are they gonna outlaw Linux completely? Good luck with that. Look at the weather picture, however, mandatory age verification appears to be a growing trend. The UK government's current implementation under the Online Safety Act has come under heavy fire for privacy concerns, while platforms like Discord have received similar critique for their face scanning age verification efforts, not just because of associations with companies that may not be using the collected data for mere age confirmation purposes. They're either gonna sell it, or train AI, or both! And while this implementation is California specific, it speaks to wider desire from governments to enforce age verification on a legal level, even if in this case it's virtually impossible to effectively enact. Good luck with that, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy how far we go to forgive parents who fail to parent their children. Yeah, also that. And even if they try to, let's say in this case, outlaw Linux, how are they actually going to enforce that? Well, if you're in California, you cannot access the downloads. How about the use of VPN? Huh? Well, you can expect an FBI raid in your home. Are you housing illegal Linux versions, perhaps? Yeah? I could be, and you wouldn't know. Also, I guess I can only ask this. I don't know about California, it's a big place. It has a lot of people. What about the servers? Linux is used a lot for server computing. What is gonna happen with that? That's gotta be a little bit strange. And I'm pretty sure they actually use pretty old versions of Ubuntu anyway. So good luck enforcing anything new with that. I'm sorry, the cat is out of the box. There's nothing you can do.